Hello，大家好，时间已经到周五的15点钟3点钟。首先，非常欢迎大家今天在星期五的下午一起来到线上参加我们今日的香港顶尖国际名校校长面对面的一个讲座。那本次讲座是由企研伊比斯跟威斯帕联合举办的。那我是本次的讲座主持人王晶非常开心看到各位。那今天呢，我们非常难得邀请到3位我们国际学校的校长来到线上，分别是我们来自香港威亚学校，还有宣道会刘平寨纪念国际学校以及英威特香港学校。那今天我们的3位校长会为大家分别去介绍学校的一些特色以及收生要求，还有申请标准等精彩资讯。那同时今天我们也会大家去设置了 Q&A 的环节。那今天我们校长，大家可能看到校长们可能会用英文去讲解，但是大家不用担心，我们今天将由我以及我们 WASHK 的代表 Jennifer 为大家去提供中英文的翻译，同时咱们的文件呢也会用中文给大家去标识。那在讲座正式开始之前，先为大家简单介绍一下今天的议程。好，由我们的伙伴切换到下一页。好，稍等一下。那今天的议程呢，首先还是欢迎大家，然后就是给大家分别介绍一下我们今天讲座的一个分享顺序。好，屏幕已经出来了。好，那现在呢，就是稍后我们首先会给大家去介绍一下我们2间主办方的一个介绍。那其次就是我们的开幕式，由我会给大家简单分享一下我们校长以及学校的一个简介。那时间到3点15分的时候，我们分别就会邀请我们今天的威亚学校以及我们的宣道会刘平寨纪念国际学校。那第3位的分享的就是我们英威特香港学校。那3位校长的话，今天有特地为我们的讲座准备了非常详细精彩的PPT， 大家可以稍后精彩的这个环节好好的去聆听一下。那除此以外呢，我们时间到4点45分的时候，也特别邀请到了我们移民公司的代表，为大家去分享一些来香港去就读国际学校的时候可能会遇到的一些签证以及移民相关方面的一些问题。那我们在5点05分，基本上我们的会议就要到此结束了。那这是我们今天一个简单的流程。好，那现在我们就开始给大家说明一下我们2间主办方的一个介绍。大家首先看到的是我们企研伊比斯集团企研伊比斯。那伊比斯集团呢，是致力实现我们可持续发展。那集团的业务大家可以从屏幕上看到。涉及的板块比较多，包括人工智能科技、教育与出版社、健康科学、物业发展以及我们的物业投资，都遍布到全球。那同时呢，企研伊比斯也是致力去进行运用科技提升学习的体验激发我们学生的一个兴趣，培养科学的学习习惯，让我们全球的学生能够更加便捷、快速的去获得优质的教学资源。那同时我们今天呢也邀请到企研伊比斯集团那同时企研伊比斯是以10年人生规划、100年终生成就为理念，运用科技全面去帮我们学生去评估综合能力，然后提供优质的一个教育资源，为其定制个性化的培训计划，为我们全球的家庭去提供专业的一个国际教育咨询服务了。那这个屏幕中大家可以看到这个2维码，就是我们企研伊比斯的香港这边的一个微信联络方式，大家可以去选择添加。好，那紧接着我们就介绍一下第2位我们的主办方 WASHK 大家可以看到我们 WASHK 是全港第1个及其教育还有亲子产品咨询平台。那目前已经超过有5000家教育机构以及亲子产品的一个咨询服务了，同时包括学校啦，以及教育中心、升学顾问，还有游乐场假日的营地、医疗保健、慈善机构以及儿童相关产品等服务。 那同时屏幕中大家可以看到我们这个二维码的话，也是可以直接链接到咱们的官方网站的，也欢迎大家去现在可以截个图，稍后可以具体查看一下。好，那这就是我们2间主办方的一个基本介绍了。那接下来我给大家做一个简单的开幕式了啊。那邀请我们的校长们出来之前，那可能我们今天来到现场的，对我们的学校以及校长们可能都有所了解。那我这边也简单的给大家再次介绍一下。那香港威亚学校，跟我们英国威亚学校是一脉相承的，是姊妹学校。那成立于1989年的英国威亚学校也是，值得分享，是英国非常领先的一个独立寄宿学校，有超过1/3的毕业生收到了牛津、剑桥等大学的录取通知书了。那目前我们香港的威亚学校呢，在香港是接收1至8年级的学生入学申请的。那更多的学校资讯，待会儿我们就有请我们的校长去更多分享了。那大家可以看到，今天来到现场的是我们香港威亚学校的校长是我 Mr. Howard Tuckett。那校长的一个简单介绍，一定要给大家说到的是，我们校长是具有教师以及体育教练以及有丰富的校长经验的一个专家了。目前拥有教育学的一个文凭以及硕士学位，37年以上的教育家的经验。那同时其中呢有21年曾经是在英国的预科学校担任校长的，那也曾担任过学校及学习集团14所预备学校的一个校长的协调员，还有我们的一个学校的一个督学。那目前我们的校长是担任2间独立学校的校长，并担任我们APS 校长的一个培训课程主任，还有主讲的这个演讲人。好，那这是我的做一个简单的中文版的介绍。那接下来呢，先有请我们 WASHK 的 Jennifer 给大家做一个英文版的简单介绍。有请 Jennifer。
好，谢谢你 Joy。Thank you everyone for joining our Zoom webinar today. Firstly, I would like to introduce the headmaster of Wickham Abbey School, Hong Kong, Mr. Howard Tuckett. Howard Tuckett is a primary specialist with experience as a teacher, housemaster, sports coach, and headmaster. With a diploma and MA in education, he has over 37 years of experience as an educationalist. 21 of those years have been served as a headmaster at British prep schools. Howard has served as the coordinator of the 14 prep school heads in the United Learning Group and an ISI school inspector. Howard has worked as a governor of 2 independent schools and has served as an IAPS Heads Training Course Director and Speaker. Howard moved to Hong Kong in 2019 to assume the role of founding headmaster of Wickham Abbey School, Hong Kong. He is married with 2 children. Now, I would like to introduce and invite Mr. Howard Tuckett to share his presentation slides and start his presentation. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you very much. I'm just getting my slides up and from the beginning. There you go. Can you see my screen?
No, we don't have your slides yet.
Okay, in which case we've got a technical problem. I've lost all of you and I've got my sorry, I've lost you guys now as well.
Judy, maybe we can share the slides from our side.
Okay.
If this is Wickham Abbey, Jeremy Young, I can start sharing the slide if that's okay.
Okay, Jeremy, if you would like, you can also share the slides and you can actually flip them for Howard. Yep, we can see your slides now.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody. I'm speaking from the slides that's showing all of our different schools. So welcome to the Wickham Abbey International Group of Schools. You'll see on the slide in front of you that across the top we've got the images of 4 of our schools: Wickham Abbey Hangzhou, Wickham Abbey Hong Kong, Wickham Abbey Nanjing with a very tall clock tower, and Wickham Abbey in Changzhou on the far right-hand side. And of course, at the bottom is our parent school, Wickham Abbey School in the United Kingdom. We're delighted to be a part of the Wickham Abbey family of schools. Our school is right in the middle. It's the third in the schools to come online. We opened in September 2019. You can see the outside of our campus on the south side of Hong Kong main island with the yellow buses outside it there. A lovely part of Hong Kong to be in, very close to Aberdeen, and looking out across to Llama Island and out basically across the South China Sea. A lovely picturesque place. We're the only school in the Wickham Abbey International Group that is just a prep school or just a primary school. All of the other schools are K to 12, and they all have boarding facilities. Being in Hong Kong, ours is a day school, and we start on the British year 1, which is 5 years old, 5+, and we go up to the British year 8, which is 13+. If we were in the United Kingdom, our school would be called a prep school because it covers this age group, and it prepares children for entry to their secondary schools either at 11+ or at 13+, depending on which system of secondary schooling our pupils are going into. Shall I pause for a translation, or shall I just keep speaking?
Please continue with the presentation. You can finish the whole presentation in English. We have slides in Chinese. Thank you.
Thank you. So on to the next slide. Okay, well, this is the boring slide because this is about me. People think I should just explain where I've come from. So I've been a teacher for a very long time. As you can see, if I remember correctly, I qualified in 1982 or 83. I've been a head teacher since the year 2000, just as the year 2000 started. So 22 years as a head teacher. And in that time, I've managed groups of head teachers in various formats. I've been an independent schools inspector. I've been a governor of schools. I've trained head teachers. But I have to say that I think that the most enjoyable part of my career has been this project, which has been to design and found a school, to start a school from scratch here in Hong Kong. So I was part of this project from when the school was on the drawing board, writing the curriculum, planning everything that happened, right through the actual building phase. And now here we are in our third academic year. And as I'll be sharing with you a little later, we are already producing some very credible results. And we're very pleased with the number of children and the quality of schools that have offered our children places for next academic year. The next slide describes the leadership structure of the school. It discusses our deputy head, our current deputy head, Fei Yang. So the model of our school is being a British name school. Currently, the head of the school, me, is a Westerner. We're a Western school offering a British curriculum. And so the feeling is that probably somebody who's come from that system in the UK is the best person to lead such a school. My own view is that whilst we are operational in Hong Kong and clearly closely related to everything that's going on in mainland China, it's very important that the deputy head, the other half of the leadership team, should be expert in the teaching of Chinese language and all things to do with Hong Kong and Chinese education systems. So the deputy head is generally somebody from either Hong Kong or mainland China. And in this case, Fei Yang is our expert deputy head, very popular, very capable deputy head. Fei has the best of both worlds, really. From Shanghai Normal University. Her first training was done there. She subsequently trained as a teacher in the United Kingdom with the Haberdasher WASHK group of schools and taught in London for some years before going into the international school circuit, and is now with us here in Hong Kong, we're delighted to say. So we have this management system of a Westerner, an equal balance of Western and Chinese capabilities and expertises to support the balance, the very important balance that we see between bringing a Western style education and being able to promote it and teach it in a Chinese Hong Kong context rather. Our teachers are all required to be trained in the British system, and you can see on the top of the next slide the wide range of universities that our teachers have come from, all the British universities, myself and at least 3 or 4 other members of staff from South African universities. People often suggest that our academic gowns should be made out of zebra skin, which I just think is rude, but there you go. And of course, you can imagine with so many British people on the staff, the amount of teasing about football teams and British accents in universities that goes on. But it's a very cohesive staff, very friendly staff. We all get on very well. When we started the school in 2019, I brought out a core team of teachers from the United Kingdom. All of them, bar 2, are still with us, all doing very well. And we've obviously grown the staff a lot. Many other people have joined now, and we have quite a wide staff with a lot of capabilities. The essential thing is that we teach using the English medium, we teach in the language of English, and my belief is that whichever language we're working in the time, whether it's Putonghua or English, that language should be modeled correctly. It should be modeled well. Children should be hearing beautiful Chinese, correct Chinese when it's being spoken, and similarly children should hear beautiful English and correct English when it is being spoken. And for that reason, I do not advocate a bilingual system in a school. To have both languages coming at children just really means they end up speaking 2 languages badly, and normally end up speaking a mixture, a patois of both languages. And having been taught in a bilingual context myself, I speak with some authority and some strong feeling on this point. So we teach our subjects using the medium of English, modeled by English-speaking people. However, we allocate a vast amount of time on our timetable to the teaching of Chinese language. That is modeled by a large team of Chinese-speaking teachers, and they then, in those lessons, speak Chinese beautifully and correctly, and children hear it in the correct context. We teach Putonghua with simplified characters, but we also teach that through a lot of Chinese poetry and a lot of Chinese literature, so children are seeing traditional characters as well. And being in Cantonese-speaking Hong Kong, some of our children come to us already being able to write in traditional characters, and if that is the case, they are welcome to continue. But we move on teaching Putonghua with simplified characters. Our thinking behind this decision is that that is the language of business in the Southeast Asian region, and is going to be the most useful tool to our children in their professional lives, which is what we're here to do, to prepare them for that. And so that is the combination that we teach at Wickham Abbey School in Hong Kong. We have quite an active pastoral system. Being a British school, we're invested into the house system, rather like a Harry Potter book. We have houses. We have Griffin, which is about as close to Gryffindor as you're ever going to get. We have the Phoenix House, the Dragon House, and the Lion House, and the names of the houses were selected by our pupils, and we have these vast banners hanging up in our school hall. The children play in teams, they compete academically, they compete in sport, they compete in chess, they compete in all kinds of things, behavior, academic outcomes, and we have a very active and very vibrant, caring house system. All of our class teachers take pastoral responsibility for their pupils. Every class has a teaching assistant who is the pastoral lead for that class and takes responsibility for being with each class of children as they move around their different subjects all day long. And as in any good pastoral system, connectivity, coordination with parents is constant and ongoing. On to the next slide, and you'll see in this picture one of our drama teachers doing some online filming of a drama production. Being in COVID times, of course, we're not doing any live drama presentations. We haven't done for some time, but we are becoming quite expert at blue screen or green screen technology and filming things and dropping in a false background behind the action. So the curriculum is designed as the British national curriculum, enriched by the Common Entrance ISCB. We teach 14 subjects required by Common Entrance, and it's designed to teach the whole person. We spend half of our week teaching English, Chinese, and maths with a fairly even distribution of time between those 3 subjects. And then the other 11 subjects are shared over the rest of the week. And I think I've covered already all the other things I would want to say. Every day has 9 periods, teaching periods, and then that ends at 3 o'clock. And then we have 2 one-hour extracurricular activity sessions. Our clubs cover, probably about 50 different clubs and activities which children can choose from. Many of these are academic clubs or cultural clubs, including things like Cantonese, traditional calligraphy, right up to rock climbing, extreme frisbee, skateboarding, and all kinds of things, as well as all kinds of technology. We have NASA, we have all kinds of technology clubs and robotics going on as well. The next slide is a staff picture, and on the right-hand side, you can see the 14 subjects that we teach. STEM at this school has the acronym of STEAM. We've added an A for design, for artistic ability. It's all very well being clever and making clever things, but they have to have a use. So we've added the A for the application. What are you going to do with your cleverness? How are you going to design something to be useful? And the picture there is of our current staff at the school at the beginning of this academic year. The next slide shows our basic timetable. I must point out that many of the photographs taken are quite old, and many of these photographs were taken before the current COVID crisis. And so some of them have members of staff and children not wearing face masks. Of course, if these photos were being taken now, they would all have face masks on them. The only slight difference is that while we're teaching online, the opening time is a little later at 8 o'clock online, but everything else is we're trying as close as possible to stick to this timetable whilst we're online. But our guests this afternoon will appreciate that this is the design of the day, designed for face-to-face teaching at school when we can do that next. In the following slide, this happy little man with his rugby ball, and on the right-hand side, a list of a sample of some of the clubs and activities we run between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock every afternoon, and homework is always available. So homework club is available in the first session and the second session every afternoon. Our design model is that children can come to school 8 o'clock in the morning, go through a day of school, do all their activities, extra lessons, extra clubs, and their homework, and by 5 o'clock the day is done. Parents do not need to spend their evenings running around Hong Kong, dropping children off at tutors or fencing lessons or any other lessons, because we can do everything, including music tuition, through the school day and have everything done and allow children enough time to rest and to sleep deeply through each evening and come to school the next morning. Although we are an English-speaking school, we do have an intensive English program for children, mainly from mainland China, whose English is not of usable level yet. So for children who cannot speak English yet, they're welcome to join the school. We put them into our intensive English class, and our experience is that we're pretty good at this, without being immodest. And generally within 6 months, children who speak no English at all have enough English that they can join their main class full time after about 6 months or 2 terms. Of course, this doesn't only apply to children from mainland China. 2 of the children who were in our earliest class came from German-speaking Switzerland. So really, it works for anybody from any other home language. Our curriculum allows us to prepare children for entry to all kinds of secondary schools, whether it's one of our own Wickham Abbey schools. On the left, you can see our Wickham Abbey girls in England, and on the right are some senior pupils at Wickham Abbey in Changzhou. And we also prepare children for British independent schools, British boarding schools in the UK, of which we've had a very successful year this year, and I'll come to that in a moment, or any other secondary school, whether it's a secondary school in Hong Kong, an international school in Hong Kong, secondary schools in Australia, in Europe, in the United States of America. Mostly we work with British independent schools, but we're geared to steer and prepare children for wherever you, their parents, wherever your careers take your family, we will be able to support you in that. The next slide shows the list of offers that our children have received from British independent schools in this academic year that we're in moment. And you will see that there are some very familiar names there. Wickham Abbey, Cheltenham Ladies College, City London School for Girls, Rugby School, Waldingham School, Caterham School, great schools there. Queen's College London is there, Herodian is there. Yes, Haberdasher School is there. Yes, it is. Anyway, there you are, and very happy to answer your questions in the Q&A after that. These are firm offers, confirmed offers to our children, and they will be going to these schools at the end of this academic year. Our application process is very simple. I couldn't believe when I came to Hong Kong how difficult it is to apply to get into a school. And I've designed a system with my team to make it very easy for parents. First of all, it's free. We don't charge you to apply. We do not charge you to assess your child. We will help you make an appointment. We will book you in for an assessment, and you will have news of the outcome of that assessment very shortly. And we will then, our lovely assessment team will work with you to prepare your child for the first day of school. Please do take note, the QR code, if you've got your phone with you, that QR code will take you straight to our admissions system. If not, do take note of the inquiries at wickhamabbeyschool.edu.hk will take you to the same place. And our hosts at Whisper this afternoon will always be able to give you that information. I can't see any screen at the moment, so you'll have to read out any questions to me, but that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Definitely learned a lot about Wickham Abbey School. So moving from here, we will move into the Q&A session. There will be a couple of questions I will ask, and if you can answer, and then we will have Joy do the translation into Mandarin.
Sure.
So,
I can see you now. I've got you.
Great. So moving on to the first question. We understand that Wickham Abbey has campuses in UK, Changzhou, Hangzhou, and Nanjing as well. For all Wickham Abbey students who transfer back to China later due to family reasons, will there be a priority for the student entering Wickham Abbey in China in the future? Will the student need to go through any bridging program, or the curriculum is similar in both Hong Kong Wickham Abbey and China Wickham Abbey? Secondly, if a student would like to do an exchange program within the Wickham Abbey network of schools, will this be possible also?
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, the short answer to all of that is yes. Children would be able to transfer between any of the Wickham Abbey international schools. However, that does not include the Wickham Abbey Girls' School in England. There is no automatic transfer to England. We can transfer children between Changzhou, Hangzhou, Nanjing, and Hong Kong. The two requirements are, one, there needs to be a place available, and two, as long as the two heads agree that this would be in the child's best interest, that the child is academically capable of coping at that school, and in the normal course of events, of course, the answer is yes to both of those. The two heads would then work with the parents and help them make the arrangements. In terms of short-term, sort of a one-term visit and then to and from, probably that would be quite disruptive. I mean, such a thing is possible, but we don't promote it in that that would just be a disruptive thing for a child to do. However, if children finish at Wickham Abbey in Hong Kong, which at the moment only goes to 13, and then wish to transfer to one of our mainland schools, Nanjing, Changzhou, or Hangzhou, that is absolutely doable and is in fact one of the options we put forward as being one of the benefits of being with our group.
Great. Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite Joy to do the Chinese translation, please. Joy, 谢谢你。
OK, thank you. 那我们的第一个问题是，大家想了解一下，香港威亚学校在英国呀，还有常州、国内的这个杭州、南京都有分校。那么对于那些因为家庭原因，从这个香港呀或其他地方转学回中国的这些学生来说，他们如果想要进入中国的威亚学校，是否会获得学校的优先考虑？那第二个问题的话，大家还是想知道，如果说进校以后是否有一些衔接的课程，以及我们香港以及中国的威亚课程，它们是否相似？那刚刚我们校长给到我们非常详细的解答。如果说你是从香港威亚学校转学回到我们中国了，那你将会获得优先的一个申请资格。但是呢，进入学校还有2个标准，第一个学校必须有名额，第二的话也要获得我们学校的这个2位校长的一个同意就可以进行转学办理了。那同时呢，课程方面，学校所有的课程都是以我们的以威亚的这个教学体系为基础的，所以说香港跟中国的课程是一样大家这个不用担心。那同时呢，校长刚刚也表达到，因为一个父母的一个职业规划的一个变化，可能我们的同学都会遇到城市之间的一个转换，所以说在威亚国际学校的这个体系里面，一定是可以帮助大家去做到这样子的一个学习以及课程的衔接。好，这是以上第一个问题解答。有请我们 Jennifer 提问第2个 ，Thank you.
Thank you, Joy, for the translation. Howard, so moving on to the second question, Wickham Abbey has a huge extracurricular enrichment program. Can you please tell us how much emphasis does the school put on sports, languages, arts, music, and STEM development for a child? Is coding and robotics classes offered at school in your science programs during teaching hours or provided as an after-school program? We are aware that robotics, coding, and AI seem to be the language of the future. A lot of times parents have to go to external centers to learn coding or robotics. Just wondering if this is something that Wickham Abbey can offer to students on campus and what the curriculums the school has adopted for STEM.
Thank you very much. Yes, again, the answer to all of that is yes. We offer robotics and coding. The full breadth of the STEM curriculum is offered as part of the main teaching day curriculum, and it's also offered in terms of various different clubs. There's a whole range of different clubs: robotics, NASA, Lego Technics, and several others which I can't remember off the top of my head, but we have a range of different technical clubs which children can join. So there's absolutely no shortage of AI, laser cutting, 3D printing. I don't know how many different computer programming type of models that we have, but lots. Every child at the school has their own iPad for their own learning all the time. The 3 senior years, the 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, by then have probably outgrown an iPad, so they have a Surface Go 2, which is a Microsoft tablet, which just has a wider capacity. So all of the children are working with technology all day long, whether it's in a formal subject that is actually teaching that, or whether it's in a completely different subject and they just require the technical ability to have a tablet with them in the classroom. Every single classroom has a multi-function interactive board, and all of the Surface Go's and the iPads can interact with the board if needs be. But at the same time, we're very mindful that we can get drawn in to teaching children just about the technology in front of them. I've been doing this long enough. When I first started as a headmaster, we didn't have email. It didn't exist. So when I think what's happened just in the time I've been a head teacher, and we're preparing children to enter into the workplace probably in another 10 years' time, there's not much point spending a lot of time teaching them about the technology that's in front of them now. We've got to teach them the mindset to deal with technology so that when they are adult, whatever the technology that's been invented by then, they have the right mindset, they have the right attitude, they have the right emotional, mental capacity to keep moving forward. Because dinosaurs like me are constantly running to keep up at the end of our careers. And we need to give children the mindset, the attitude that regardless of what technical wonders exist when they start their career, that is only the beginning, and the technology is just going to keep on going, and they need to keep up all through their career. So it's rather than get too involved in the immediacy of now, which is very important, and we do that, but it's a much wider concept. The whole reason we're messing around with robotics and techniques and wires and cables and AI and what have you, we're sending drones through hoops using robotic codes with 8-year-olds, all of this amazing stuff, is we're teaching an attitude to technology, as well as being very clever with what they're doing now. We actually spend as much time gluing yogurt cups together and bending straws and paper bits and pieces and cutting up cardboard to solve problems as we do using very expensive technology, because it's the same skills, it's the same problem solving. Children working together with other children, just like they will in an office one day, hearing other people's advice, hearing other people's point of view. Finally accepting that guy over there, he's got a better idea than me. And that really hurts because I think I'm quite bright. And having to accept that and suck it up and get on with it and not feel put out. And all of the things we have to do at work every day, these are the skills we're teaching. And of course, because we're in a technological world, we teach technology a lot. But this is more about teaching the life skills and the attitudes as much as it is about the technology. I feel a lecture coming on, so I'm going to stop right there.
Thank you very much, Howard. I can't agree more. I'd like to invite Joy just to summarize in Chinese the main gist of the.
Sorry, Joy.
No worries. And Joy, question number 2. Thank you.
好 ，Thank you。非常感谢我们校长刚刚一个非常精彩的分享啊。那我给大家再继续进行一个中文的简述。那刚刚我们的问题是大家都知道薇娅学校有一个非常丰富的一个课程的课外的一些学习计划。那大家在这个过程中的话，也是非常注重学生的这个体育、语言、艺术、音乐以及我们 STEM 的一个发展。那这些课程中的一些编程呀，以及机器人方面一些课程，它的提供时间是在教学时间里，还是在教学时间外是在校园里还是在校园外？因为大家都非常家长以及同学们非常关心计算机编程以及人工智能作为未来的一个语言的话，也是希望我们的同学能够能够在学校里面能够接收到这样子的一个资讯的。那校长刚刚针对这个问题呢，给了我们一个非常全面的一个回答。那告诉我们了，那香港薇娅学校的 STEM 课程呢，它是包括机器人编程、人工智能以及无人机等等技术的。那学校在这些科技以及学习方面投入了非常多大量的资金，那为学生也提供了多种电子科技技术应用于我们学生的日常交流以及学习包括我们的同学们是拥有自己的 iPad 的，可以在上面去学习所有的课程。那学校刚刚校长重点去说，我们一直也是意识到对待教授给学生的话是一种对待科技的一个态度以及心态，所以说也是帮助学生去挖掘一个这样子的一个理念，去带着学生去进入一个未被目前还在仍然去开发以及去发明的一个技术的世界。那所以说我们校长是希望我们的学生能够有一个创造性的方法去探索这些技术，那未来可以将这些科技的技术作为他去进行创造的一个工具。那对于这个重点的一些课外活动，学校是包括各种各样的一个技术俱乐部，那每周大概会给学生提供50个选择，时间大概是每天的下午3点到5点了基本上2个小时。那还有就是也有一个由NASA 提供的一个俱乐部的活动。那校长刚刚也提到了我们的目标是每天在校的时间是早上8点一直到下午的5点，是学生在薇娅学校的上学时间。那学生家长的话也无需为了额外的一些学习在奔波在香港的其他的一些辅导机构了学校将会为大家提供所有的一切。好 ，Thank you。以上是第2个问题的一个复述 ，Thank you。
谢谢你 Joy。So Howard, moving on to question number 3, we would like to know more about your secondary and boarding school guidance program. Is this similar to the college counseling service available at the other international schools? Does it include admission test preps classes for the child? And is it only geared towards UK boarding schools? What about kids who want to go to the US? Will Wickham Abbey Hong Kong open its own secondary school soon, or for those who wish to remain in Hong Kong?
Thank you. So the whole concept behind this school is that we're not an international school. We're the only one in the Wickham Abbey group that is not an international school. In Hong Kong, we are licensed as a private school. That means we do not have the international school quota of nationalities at the school. So what we have here, Jennifer, is a British prep school in Hong Kong for Hong Kongers, regardless of their nationality or their passport. Anybody can come to this school. We have no quota. It means that we are teaching the same curriculum that all British prep schools, private independent prep schools, are teaching in Britain, except they're teaching French or Spanish as their second language. We're teaching Putonghua, and we give it more time because it's a very important language. The design of this school assumes that children at this school may very well go to Britain or the United States for their secondary education or university, but we're working on the assumption that they will come back to Hong Kong for their adult lives. This really is a British prep school for Hong Kongers. It's for everybody here in Hong Kong, rather than just for gearing up expatriates to leave Hong Kong whenever their contract is up. And it's a very important distinction to make. That is our whole mindset. So our curriculum is the British curriculum that is required to enter these great British schools. So if one of our families comes to me and says, we'd like to prepare our child to apply for whichever British independent schools, we don't have to run around and make a special plan. The whole school is already designed to do that. All of our children are being prepared for entrance to British independent schools, whether they are going to one or not. Our experience is that that is also a very good preparation for entry to American schools or Australian schools, international schools, anywhere else in the world. It's a really good coverall model. And we shouldn't be confused. Our curriculum, British curriculum, common entrance curriculum, is very similar to the Hong Kong primary EDB curriculum. These are all great primary school curriculums, and they're not dissimilar. They're very, very close. I know I've spent a lot of time working with all of these curriculums. So it's not as if we're asking people to make a sort of a 180-degree choice between two curriculums. These are all quite similar things. They're all quite similar routes. In fact, the skills that we're teaching children are identical. So yes, the short answer is most of our results are for British independent schools because that's where most of our parents apply to. I am currently working with a school in Florida. I've been working with a school in Portugal, and I've been working with 2 schools in Australia this year. None of those children are going in this academic year as far as we know. So these are for sort of 18 months time. So yes, if a parent comes to me and says, I need to prepare a child to go to a school in Argentina or something, I'll just pick up the phone and speak to the head teacher in Argentina and see what I need to do. But because we are prepared on what is fairly recognized as an internationally understood curriculum, it would be a pretty rare school somewhere else in the world where we would, within the English-speaking world anyway, where we would need to make any massive changes. So we're pretty well geared. As long as we have enough time and we have a clear steer from the parents as to which school we're aiming for, it's my job to find out what I need to do and to speak to that school and open communication with them to facilitate a steady trajectory for that child through to the next school.
Thank you, Howard. That was very, very useful. And I would like to invite Joy to summarize and do the translation in Chinese, please.
Okay, thank you. 那我们的第3个问题呢，是大家想更多的了解一下关于威亚学校的中学以及寄宿学校方面提供的一些指导计划是什么。那同时呢，大家想知道这个计划中是否有类似于其他国际学校提供的大学咨询服务，它可能包括给我们的学生提供入学考试的一些课程，同时呢，在这些申请的过程中，是否只针对于英国的学校对于想要去美国的学校是否也有这样子的一个升学辅导。还有一点呢，就是说有一些我们威亚的学生可能希望留在香港，那么未来咱们威亚学校是否会在香港去开办自己的中学？那刚刚我们校长给到我们的回答刚刚也全面的非常说到了。 那薇娅的整个学校课程呢，都是去基于我们学生的一个升学的一个要求的同时学校的也是基于英格兰呀以及威尔士国家的课程是做的一个丰富的一个版本。那同时学校的所有的学生我们都是11岁以上呀，一直到13岁以上，也是为了帮助他们去进入像英国最好的一个私立学校去做准备的。不管说我们的学生是否去打算申请，学校都已经做好全面准备了。那同时，刚刚校长告诉我们，只要说我们的学生确定好打算去申请哪一年入学，那学生就会被邀请加入到一个学校特别去准备的一个提前的一个准备小组。那在这个小组中的话，会带着学生一起去讨论如何去帮学生去适应未来的一个寄宿的一个生活。那同时去学习一些英国方面的一些文化，帮助学生更好的从香港的生活适应到英国的生活，做好转变的一个准备。那这些准备以及课程安排都会在学校的这个正常的上课时间去进行准备的。那薇娅学校的课程以及我们英国的这个预科学校遵循的是同样的一个课程安排，也是由同样的老师去教授的。所以说英国学校的这些老师们也都是在同样的一个地方去接受培训所以说我们学校的这个学生一旦也是确定好学生准备去到哪一个国家，我们学校就会安排学生去进行相关的一个入学的准备。那面对每间学校入学要求的不同，那学校也会去特别的去安排全套的一个准备比如说去培养一下学生的一个考试技巧，以及说也花了非常多的时间提高学生的一个面试的一个能力。目前薇娅学校大部分的学生可能都会申请了英国的学校，但是学校也会去给学生去提供澳大利亚呀、美国呀以及欧洲的一些学校的一些升学的辅导。那学校也是一定会去做到帮助我们所有的学生去想要去任何一间国家的一个大学都可以去帮他去做到一些准备。好，这是关于第二个问题的一个解答。Thank you。
谢谢你 Joy. Thank you, Howard. I think today, now we've just finished our Q&A session with you. Thank you so much for coming. For presenting today and sharing your thoughts and also your presentation on Wickham Abbey with our parents. So thank you very much, and I shall pass it back to Joy to introduce the next school. Thank you, Howard. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
好，那我们接下来就要进入第二间国际学校校长的一个精彩分享了。那有请我们的同事切换一下 PPT。那我们第二间国际学校的话，就会邀请我们的宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校校长来到线上为我们分享。那校长是我们刘平斋的话，是一所位于香港的国际学校。那今天来到我们线上的话，就是我们的校长 Dr. Cora。那校长的话，徐博士也是从事教育工作已经超过25年了。他的研究重点的话是在学生的健康呀以及领导方面。那自从2016年开始，校长已经发表了多篇的一个研究论文。那今天呢，关于学校以及更多的资讯，就有请我们校长给大家去继续带来。好，那接下来的时间交还给我们的校长，有请 Dr. Cora。
Hi everyone。
对 ，OK， 还有我们英文版的介绍。Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, 谢谢你 Joy. Thank you, Dr. Cora, for being here today. I will just do a quick introduction in English for the benefit of parents today. Dr. Cora Hui is the head of school for Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School, CAPCL, a bilingual primary international school in Hong Kong. Dr. Hui has been an educator for over 25 years. Her research focus has been on servant leadership and learners' wellness and has published multiple research papers since 2016. I would like to welcome Dr. Cora Hui, who is the principal of Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School, to share her presentation slides and start the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Hui.
You're welcome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for
Hello.
joining. I'm going to share the screen and now we're going to guide you through some information about the school, Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School. Okay. All right, so thank you for joining and giving me the time to get ready. Our school name is Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School. And I am very passionate about working with children, and I've been in the field of education for more than 20 years. It's actually reaching 30 very soon. I'm happy to study and share with you a lot about how to help our children to become leaders of the future with a servant heart. And I think it all started with that also help our children to build their mindfulness as well as care for their wellness. So if you Google me, you probably will find some of the research paper that I have published in the recent years. I'd like to maybe spend some time talking about the school, Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School. We are a school established by the school sponsoring body that is located in Hong Kong. And that is the sponsoring body is the Kowloon Town Church of the Chinese Christian and Missionary Alliance. You can see from this photo, this school sponsoring body is a church located in the Kowloon Town district. In Hong Kong, it has already had education for over 60 years, for 6 decades. And there are 17 schools that are international and local schools that is established in the city of Hong Kong by this school sponsoring body. Our school, Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School, was established in 1992. And that means this is our 30th anniversary. It's been very exciting to be counting the achievement and the work and bearing fruit and see the result of our work. Our school was closed for renovation, and the picture you see here was the picture we took when we reopened in 2020. The church and the school sponsoring body decided to invest huge amount of money to renovate the school because we want to make elementary educations to be purposeful and well designed. So that's why it has taken us over 2 and a little bit years to renovate the school to make it purpose-built for elementary learners. So we started in 2020 August, and we can have children all the way up to grade 6. This is a picture we have taken a few months ago in the school campus. And that is a picture where all the students and parents gather, and we form the number 30 to celebrate the 30th anniversary. I'd like to share with you, this is our school logo, and the logo speaks volume of wisdom that we believe is important. We want our children to live a life that is full of blessing. And in the Bible, in Psalm chapter 1, verse 2 to 3, it talks about if a person who is like a tree planted by the streams of water, it will yield its fruit in season and the leaf will not wither. Whatever they will do will prosper. What it embedded in here is to say that lives to be meaningful with fruit will have to be embedded in the place where there are streams of water. And for us as adults who are parents and educators, which means that we actually have to provide the environment for the seed that has potential to grow. But we also have to be patient to know that when children are like the seed, they will bear fruit in its season. And we have to be patient and wait, and also to have faith that there is always gifting in each child. And we believe that they will, whatever they will do will prosper if we look at learning holistically with 4 domains. And I use that as a 4H of the CAPCL holistic education. You see, every day when we look at trees that is around us, we can only see what is above the ground. But we know that there must be something beneath that makes the tree to be stable and healthy. And for us, that is the heart, which is the purpose and the motive for learning, as well as the habits. For young children, it's important for us to help them to develop good habits that will help them with the body, their mind, and their soul. And those will form a foundation for our children's well-being. And on the top of that, children will flourish. So in our school, we also emphasize on stimulating the interest to learn, cultivate good thinking skills and good learning. And in our school, I will share in a few slides later that we use the Canadian curriculum and we teach it in a bilingual approach. And we think that is really helping our children to develop a sharp mind. And we want our children to know what they learn, they have to apply. And they have to apply to bless the community that they're in, even when they are very young. The picture I have selected is that they work together. And that is the beauty of working together, is helping children to enjoy holistic education. So you can see, even from the school logo, it embedded the philosophy of our school education, that we believe every child is gifted. And when we provide the right environment for our children, they will flourish at their own pace. And that means every day, you and I have a very important job to do, is to make sure that they have the right attitude to learn, their motive to learn, the heart is in the right place. They're excited to come and learn, whether they're at home now or at the school, and building good habits and giving them everyday learning with a good structure of the Canadian program, and also working together. That is what we really want to see happening. I'd like to share with you, this is our vision. I think for educators and parents, sometimes we are only looking at today and this week and the next year. And I want to always to think how far we can see, because we must be able to see in order to lead. And the vision of CAPCL is to cultivate and equip faithful and fruitful disciples who will have wisdom and grow in stature physically. They have to be growing and healthy, and they will have wisdom. And what they do will be in favor of God and men. And as that, they will extend the kingdom. That is important. Our mission in the day-to-day work of our teachers with our parents is to be the example in what we say, speech, and in what we do, our action, because we are role model for our children, and we want our children to also be the good example to the peers, and as well as to the friends in the neighborhood, that they will do it not just because they're going to get praise or avoid punishment. They are being good because it's out of the good place in the heart, out of love, out of faith, and out of purity. So that is what we believe. It's a starting point with the foundation of the philosophy of education, with a clear sight of what we want to see in the future, and coming down to the day-to-day work we're doing with the children. In Hong Kong, you will be finding that international school offer different curriculums, and that is very good because their parents have lots of choices. You can find in Hong Kong curriculum that is UK, US, Australia, or Canada. I'm just giving you 4 options in here. But at Christian Alliance, PC Lau Memorial International School, we use the Canadian curriculum. And I want to emphasize why we think this curriculum is suitable for you. It's because in many curriculum, they only develop or design the curriculum for the English user if their main language is English. But in Canada, in the province of Alberta, in the city of Edmonton, they actually use their curriculum bilingually multiple ways. So if you actually click to the official website of the Edmonton Public School Board, you will find different bilingual schools such as Hebrews and English, Spanish and English, German and English, and also Chinese and English. And you say, oh, that may just be something new. It is not true. Canada actually have bilingual Chinese and English curriculum for more than 35 years. And just in one city of Edmonton, you can find 13 schools where children will use the public money, the taxpayers' money, to go to school, and half of a day they learn in Mandarin, and another half of a day they learn in English. And as a result, over years of learning in this environment, remember I talked about planting the seed and provide the environment. In that way, they actually grow and have become fluent in 2 languages, and they are research backing to say that there are more benefits more than just language benefit, and I will show you in the next slide. So I just want to say that there are schools that are doing it in Canada, and it is showing that bilingual Chinese and English school is a very good way to help your children to be ready for the future. Now, I want to introduce my colleague who will be joining me in the next slide, Ge Lao Sư. She will be telling you how the curriculum is implemented at our school on a day-to-day basis. But maybe I will just show you this one. It shows that in our school, so if I look at the school day as a 100% like a pie, then 65% of our school day, we have classes conducted in English, and 35% of the day, the classes will be conducted in Mandarin with traditional script. Now, let me give you more detail through Ge Lao Sư. Ge Lao Sư, could you join me and share more, please?
好的，各位尊敬的校长、老师、家长以及来宾们，下午好。我是宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校的中文科组长葛老师。下面我会为大家详细介绍本校的双语课程安排以及架构。首先，正如许校长刚刚提到的，本校的办学理念除了根基于基督精神的大使命以外，还十分重视对学生双语能力的培养。我们相信双语教学不但可以拓展学生的思路，训练他们的思维，同时可以提升他们在不同文化环境下的沟通能力及社交能力。下一页，谢谢。结合加拿大阿伯达省的课程大纲，本校在教学语言方面的安排是使用普通话口语及繁体字书面材料教授中文学科，使用普通话口语及中英双语的书面材料教授数学科。这里我们可以在简报左边的主要科目中看到。另外，每学期我们还有另外设置一门专门的学科，使用普通话及中文的书面材料来进行教授。而上述的专门学科包括简报右边大家可以看到的艺术、圣经、健康、音乐及体育中的其中一科。而其他所有的科目包括左边的英文、社会研究、科学以及右边的其他专门科目都会有英文来进行授课。下一页，谢谢。那么上述的课程设置具体反映在学生的课表上，大概是一个什么样的情况呢？那我们可以在这一页的简报中看到，第一学期每一天学生会跟英文老师一起学习英文课、圣经课、健康课、体育课、音乐课、社会研究及科学课。那么同时，他也会跟中文老师一起进行中文课、数学课以及艺术课的学习。到了第二个学期，中文老师则会教授体育课，而转由英文老师教授艺术课。那么大家可以看到，每天学生都会有大约65%左右的时间是使用英文进行学习。而有大约35%的时间是使用中文来进行学习的。那么这样的一个中文授课的比例其实也是相对较高的。 那我们使用这样一个双语的教学模式，是有利于老师全方面的在中英双语的听说读写以及思维方面贯彻我们的双语理念。下面有请徐校长继续为各位介绍一下本校采用双语教学的好处。
Thank you, 葛老师. Thank you, Vivian. Let me come back and say to you something about from research. And I agree with the headmaster from the last school. It is true. Sometimes it's not very effective when you have two language teachers in the same place to run a bilingual system. And how we would do it is we use what the Canadian system will do, and they have found it being very useful and they have proven result. That we think that in some of the subjects, when they are purely taught in Mandarin, and students will only learn them in Mandarin. And then the other subjects they're learning in English, and then they were only in English. And you think that, okay, over time, given the environment, then the children will become good in the language. Not only that, in addition to be able to be fluent in both Mandarin and English, there are research doing in Canada to find that when children are learning two languages systematically in a school setting, meaning that they're not just learning how to listen, but they learn how to write and speak and all elements of language arts, they actually have to learn to pay more attention. And over time, they're able to focus their attention better. It shows that children in the bilingual school, they are better at paying attention to the tasks given to them. You notice that English and Chinese are very different. One use alphabets, the other have characters with different radicals and use different strokes. And in fact, when children learning language that are very different, and if they can learn it well, it improves in the memory ability because the system itself are very different. And then also the way we think are very different in the Western way and the Eastern way. Through learning the language is more than just vocabularies, making sentence into paragraphs. It actually helped them to look at things very differently because through learning, they know even when we're writing address, Western people or English speaking language will teach you to write the small to big. Whereas Chinese people or Eastern thinking will be from big to small. It's very different way. We will, like in Chinese, you probably will write the country, then you write the province, then you write the city, you write the district, you write the street number, the street name and the street number, and then you write the building, the floor, and then the apartment number. But in English, it's reverse. But when children's given the opportunity at the school to emphasize these differences, it helps them anytime when they look at the problem, they don't only think in one way. Think about it, even when you introduce my name, right? It will talk about my first name, my middle name, and my last name. But when Chinese people will be introducing the name, you started with your family name first. So you see, the Westerner and the Eastern thinking are very different, but when children can get the best of the both worlds, it helps them to solve problems by looking at one problem in many different ways. And as a result, the way that they find the answers will be more comprehensive. And I think that is very good when you're thinking about international school and you look for one that can help them to build more than one language, and that is important. And I think that in our school, also in Canada, why do they choose Chinese and mathematics? And I think I want to tell you the secret, especially when children are young. You know that many of you, if you can count the number or tell the month of the year, right? If you learn it in Chinese, by learning the multiplication table, there are songs we can sing. It means that it can help the children to build a foundation for accuracy and efficiency. And that is important for mathematics. But in our school, mathematics, we also taught them the vocabularies in English. In that way, they're able to connect to, in the higher grade, to be learning mathematics in English. But allowing children to struggle a little bit learning mathematics using Mandarin and English is not a struggle at all, because you help them to pay attention. Because when we have children learning mathematics, it is not just about whether they can finish the task. We want them to pay attention to details. We want them to learn how to problem solve. And I think that is very important, especially you're looking for elementary education. And I am not just selling it because this is my school. I am selling it because that is research backing finding. If children learn languages, it is more than fluency in the language. It's not just about they're able to communicate with more people in the world. It's about them able to focus, to do well with the attention span, have better memory ability, and able to solve problems. And I think it is really helping them to be future ready. Let me give you a little bit information. If you're interested to come to our school, you do need to apply and apply with the application fee. And the application fee is on our website. It's Hong Kong currency, $1,500. And once you apply and provide a supporting document, we will arrange an interview with every applicant. And then if you got accepted, then you will have to support in 10 days notice period whether you will take the offer. And you can see in this slide, our 2022 to 2023 school years, our tuition for preparatory that are 5 years old, the total sum is written there is $112,260. And for grade 1 to grade 5 in the coming year is $124,980. And that is paid in 10 installments. And if you have more than one child and you send them to the same school for family, there's sibling discount. And you can see in this chart, the second child gets 10% discount, the third with 15% discount, and the fourth with 20% discount. If you are so blessed with a big family, we are sharing the joy with you by providing you with discount as well. I like to give you a reference check. So now you think about 5 years old, what does that mean? If your child is born in the year of 2017, he or she is ready for preparatory. Okay, and we use the calendar year. That means that if they're born on 2017, December 30th and 31st, you are able to go in for prep. Okay, and grade 1 to grade 5, the birth year is also listed in this table. That's the order slide, and I just want to end by giving you a picture showing what is in our school. We are an elementary school, and what I can really think of is this couplet, right? That we want our children to learn and grow in God's love, and they use what they learn to serve and flourish in God's grace. So thank you so much for giving me the chance to share with you about this wonderful school.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hui. That was very inspiring and very insightful. And now we shall move on to our Q&A session. We will start off with the first question. I understand that CAPCL uses the Alberta system to educate the students. Why use this system? How effective or beneficial is the school ecosystem, as well as STEM to stream? Can you please share a case study of this subject of what is taught exactly?
Okay, so you the first question you asked is a little bit about the Alberta Canadian system. I think this is one of a very credible, and I would say is one of the best system as English-speaking countries, among the English-speaking countries, because if you look at the PISA results that is organized by the OECD, that Canadian system is always ranking very high among all the English-speaking countries. And I think this is a very credible system. You mentioned that we in our school not only have STEM, we have STREAM, because to spell STEM is S-T-E-M, STREAM with the R and the A, because we think that it is a whole process that it started with children to learn how to do research, to find out how to go about doing the STEM, how to go about doing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But it started with them having the curiosity to find out how to solve the problem. Then we come with the STEM, that after that, we want them to understand that might be great work, but it also has to be marketable. That is the part about producing product that is aesthetic. And that's why in our school, we also focus on STREAM. That means in addition to learning 2 languages, while they're doing it, we have them embedded into the language by doing research in Chinese and English. They are building whatever they're doing, whether it is a car, whether it is a STEM project, whatever it is. After that, I want them to always think about, is there any aesthetic and elements that they have to find and focus on? Because for any product to be marketable, it is important for them to be aesthetically appealing. So in our school, these are the 3 main processes that embedded in our STREAM program.
Thank you, Dr. Hui. In the conscience of time right now, I will just invite Joy to summarize in Chinese for the benefit of our Chinese parents. Joy, question number 1.
好 ，OK，Thank you。那我们刚刚有回答到的第一个问题是关于我们宣道会刘平斋纪念国际学校啊，我们采用的这个教学体制是加拿大的亚伯达省的教育系统。那刚想问校长的是，为什么我们要用这样子的一个教学系统？那同时呢，也是想了解一下目前这样子的一个教学体系，它的这个效果如何？那第2个问题就是，除了我们学校有这个 STM 以及STREAM 这样子的一个这2个项目，那中间的话，想请校长分享的是关于这个项目的话，学校它具体的一个实际教学案例。好，那刚刚校长给了我们非常丰富详细的一个解答，以一个数据显示由经济合作与发展组织的国际学生评估方案证明，在我们所有其他的这个英语国家中，加拿大的这个教学的话，一直是可以说是最好的所以说学校有沿用这样子的一个体制。那同时，学校的话也目前是致力于通过 STREAM 模式去培养我们学生，去成为服务于社会的一个领导者这样子一个角色。那该模式的话，由 STM 以及研究呀，还有我们的美学教育等等去组合成的。所以这个项目的过程中的话，也是能够在学校里面去非常好的去帮我们学生去进行成长。好，关于第1个问题的一个简单复述就是以上。欢迎我们Jennifer 去提问第2个问题。Thank you。
谢谢你 Joy。So Dr. Hui, moving on to question number 2, can you please tell us about the school's activities and extracurricular programs? How do you select the ECA program and what kind of activities are provided in CAPCL? Is it compulsory for students to join?
Yes, for our school ECA program, it is embedded in our school day once a week. We have Wednesday in the afternoon where children will have more than an hour of time where they can mix with others in the community based on their interests. So we have activity from hip hop, dancing to basketball, soccer, badminton, table tennis, to drama, ukulele, and so whether it's music, drama, sports, or art activity. There are also artists explorers. So there are all kinds of activity allowing children to explore with their friends, because we want our school community to have the opportunity for children to develop their interest. And we believe that when they're grouped together, they have synergy effect. When children who enjoy basketball, they can learn together. It's helping them to build the confidence, helping them to build the social skills, and it helps the community to become more safe and welcoming. And that's why our ECA program is embedded in our school day, and we choose one day out of the whole week, and where children will all have this as an option.
Amazing. Sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Dr. Hui. I would like to invite Joy also just to summarize in Chinese for the benefit of our Chinese parents. Question number 2.
OK, thank you. 那我们第二个问题的话是想请校长介绍一下学校的一些活动以及课外的一些计划安排。那同时呢，也是想知道学校是如何为我们的学生去进行这些课外活动项目的选择，以提供哪一些项目给我们的学生。那同时这些项目是要求学生必须参加的吗？那刚刚校长给到我们的回答是目前学校的这个课外活动项目是被纳入到学校的这个常规的课程表中的，也是供学生去自由选择。同时，学生的话每周参加1次课外活动。那目前他的学校的这个时间表将给课程各种类的项目的安排。给我们每一个学生都有机会去探索他们的一些兴趣，因为有非常多丰富的课程，并且呢，在学校不同的年级的同龄人中的话，能够帮他们去寻找到更共同的一些兴趣以及爱好。那以下可以有哪一些提供的活动分别有嘻哈舞蹈呀，以及艺术体操尤克里里，还有一些小话剧舞台小演员。乐高头脑风暴，还有这个STM 的乐高机器人、羽毛球少儿篮球，以及这个叫做跆拳道，还有橄榄球、乒乓球、艺术探险家，以及圣经英雄真的是非常丰富。所以说不同的这个项目安排都可以供我们的学生去选择。好，以上是关于第二个问题的简答。Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Now, going on to our very last question, Dr. Hui. We understand that CAPCL has a sister primary school called Christian Alliance International School, campus at Laitikok. What is the difference between CAPCL and the sister school? How should parents choose to study at CAPCL, or is it CAIS?
Yes, I just mentioned that our school has a school sponsoring body based in Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong, it has operated schools for 60 years with 17 schools. And these 17 schools have local curriculum as well as international curriculum. So 2 of the schools, as you mentioned, are sister schools because they belong to the same school sponsoring body. Is our school, Christian Alliance PC Lau Memorial International School, and Christian Alliance International School. We are at, one is in Kowloon West, the other is on Kowloon East. Both schools use the same Canadian curriculum because we believe that the Canadian curriculum is credible and is good. But I'd like to highlight the difference. Our school, CAPCL, is only go up to grade 6, and CAIS also have the secondary school. So if you look at the school population, our school is smaller. And well, we have only currently about over 200 children, but under 300, whereas our sister school has nearly 2,000 students. I would think if parents, you're already moving from mainland to Hong Kong, there is a lot of adjustment you are doing. So it is good for you to consider looking for a school that is a smaller community, because in a smaller community, usually for young learner, they will be easier to find the care of the teachers, because in a smaller community, research has showed us for young learner, a small community is very good for them. And when they get into high school, a bigger community is good for them, because when it's come to subjects for selection, they may have more options because you need a critical mass to start a class. But for young learner, it is very important that they know that they're being noticed. It is a lot easier to be noticed in a small community where if the child has need, others can come and reach to that quickly. And I believe that a small community is good for young children. Another thing is we are both an international school, but our school is being founded 30 years ago. Therefore, there is no student mix quota. That means we welcome students who are Hong Kong or foreign passport, local or non-local students, they are welcome to join our school. But many of the international schools that open after the millennium have a quota. And that means they have to balance the non-local and the local passport ratio. So our school don't have that because we have established as an international school in Hong Kong for 30 years. And that's why I think this is good. So I think this will be a few factors for you to consider, and I will just leave it to that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hui. That was very, very clear, very concise. Thank you for the clarification and the explanation of the school setup. In light of the time right now, we're a little bit overrun. So I would just invite Joy to just do a quick short summary in Chinese. For any other questions that parents have, we will pass it on to you later on. Thank you so much, Dr. Hui. So Joy, a quick translation in Chinese for the main points. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 那么我们第三个问题呢，是刚刚我们校长给我们解答了是，对于我们 CAPCL 啊，在香港的话还有一个姊妹学校。那关于这个关于这间姊妹学校的话，是位于这个荔枝角，名为基督教联盟国际学校。那这两间国际学校它们有什么不同？同时的话，家长应该如何为我们的学生去选择分别去哪间学校去进行学习？那校长给我们答案是我们的这个CAPCL 就是我们的青年国际学校采用的教学模式是加拿大亚伯达省的英汉双语模式，与我们的香港的加拿大的其他的省份的13间学校都是一样的。这个教学系统的话，在学校已经运作了有40多年。那同时告诉我们了，如果只要说我们的申请人符合学校的一个入学评估要求，我们都可以去接收大家的申请。那刚刚校长特别有说到，不管说你是本地人，还是说是非本地人，香港的，或者是国外的，或者是我们来自大陆的，都非常欢迎大家。只要说我们有这样的一个入学名额。那刚刚给到建议校长说到小孩比较年小的这个小朋友的话，他其实是更加去适合稍微比较小型的这样子的一个学习社区的。所以说大家可以根据学生不一样的这个年级，可以去进行一个学校的选择。好，关于我们最后一个问题的简述。好 ，Thank you, Jennifer.
谢谢你 Joy. Thank you so much, Dr. Cora Hui, for joining us today. Thank you. That was an amazing, well, actually, that was a very, very insightful presentation on CAPCL. And now, thank you and have a good day. And we shall move on to the next school that we have, which is Invictus School. And we have Mr. Christopher Jackson. So I would like to invite Joy to do the introduction in Chinese first, and then we will have the introduction in English. Joy?
Okay, thank you. 好，那非常感谢我们刚刚校长的一个精彩分享了。那今天的话，接下来就到我们第3位校长的一个分享。大家可以看到，紧接着我们来到了是英威特香港学校的一个环节。那有请校长分享之前，我做一个简单介绍。那英威特香港学校的话是成立于2019年，那最初是2015年在新加坡成立比较年轻。那目前呢，在香港为我们5到18岁的孩子去提供幼稚园一直到13年级的高质量的教学。那校园目前是遍布新加坡、香港、中国大陆以及柬埔寨的。那今天来到我们线上的就是我们小学及中学部的校长 Mr. Jackson。那简单的介绍一下校长。那我们校长的话是出生在英国，长大在英国，同时就读的大学是普海生学院。在我们牛津大学去获得了一个教学资格。那也是在90年代初的时候，校长移民到我们香港。那目前也是在我们不同间学校有担任过教学以及管理的一些职责。那作为 教育家的话，值得分享的是，校长有说到，他认为在我们的小学孩子们应该是在自我激励以及去积极参与学习的一个情况下去学习，才能够获得一个更好的效果。所以说，他的教学理念也是一直去督促促进孩子们去参与更多与自身相关的学习。那在这样子一个富有丰富的创造力以及关怀的环境中，与家长还有我们学校共同去帮助孩子们去更好的成长。好，这是以上关于校长以及我们学校的简单介绍。有请我们 Jennifer 做一个英文版介绍。Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Now I'd like to make an introduction in English to Mr. Christopher Jackson, the principal of primary and secondary Invictus School in Hong Kong. Mr. Jackson grew up in England, where he attended Epsom College and later gained his teaching qualification from the University of Oxford. In the 1990s, he moved to Hong Kong, and he has held teaching and management roles in a variety of schools and institutions ever since, large and small, English medium and bilingual. He understands the challenges and opportunities for families as they look for an education which is personal in its delivery, yet global in its perspective and ambition. As an educator, Mr. Jackson values a curriculum which is broad and holistic and looks to the future to prepare children for success. He believes children learn best when they are self-motivated and engaged, and he has always promoted learning which is relevant and meaningful for the children themselves, in spaces which are creative and caring, and in partnership with parents and the community. It's a real privilege being the founding principal of Invictus School, leading a growing team of dedicated professionals in the school, becoming known for its rigorous bilingual curriculum in English and Mandarin, high quality teaching, exciting learning, and confident learners. Now I should like to invite Mr. Jackson to share your slides and start your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Right. Okay. Am I sharing effectively now, Jennifer?
We can't see your slides yet. Are you able to share them?
Oh dear. Right. Again.
We're not seeing the slides.
It's all it. Don't worry. Right. There we go. I think we are.
Yes, we see the slides.
There we go. Right. Oh.
Perfect.
Not quite. I keep sharing the wrong thing. Dear, oh dear.
Oh, we see the front.
Jackson, have you
There we go.
your camera?
Yeah.
Your camera not yet open up.
No?
No, the camera is open. Yeah, we see the front, the first slide.
Yep.
Okay, great.
All right then. Okay, well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Whisper, and parents. A pleasure to meet you via Zoom. I'm pleased to be able to tell you about Invictus School this afternoon. I hope you will enjoy what you hear, and I hope you will be keen to find out more. All right, thank you. All right then, we are a relatively new school, and I think youth is always a good thing. We've only been around since about 2019, and I can't believe where that time has gone and how far our school has come. We are now a through school. We go from kindergarten all the way up to primary through to secondary and year 13. And the beauty of our school is that when someone joins our school, becomes part of our school community, they are with us all the way through. It can be a great stress changing between primary and secondary school. So I'm really glad that we can offer that seamless and easy transition for our students. We are part of something a little bigger. The Invictus organization hails from Singapore, and there are now sister schools in countries including mainland China, Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia. And our umbrella organization, if you like, is Sing Ed Global Schoolhouse, which has many schools. Some share our name and others are actually known as different names. So being part of a larger organization gives us a sort of quite a large sort of support network across different countries, staffing, education, and so forth, which is very important in a very sort of global education world. And I'll just click on, right. We have high hopes for ourselves, just as any parent has high hopes for their children. And, you know, one of our visions is we want to be a leading educational institution. And we really want to make sure that we provide opportunities for children to flourish, to grow, to become almost anything. That's a really important thing for us. Excuse me. And we are always looking to the future. Now, we are educating children for tomorrow, and we want that tomorrow, hopefully, to be a much better place than today. And we want children to know that they are going to be part of changing that world for the better. In our mission statement, it talks about contributing positively for a better tomorrow. In other words, children making change. That's what we want to give them, confidence to make a difference with the next generations. Okay. There are 6 values up on the screen there, and I won't go through all of them. I'll just pick out a couple of them. One, which would be important to any parent, would be excellence. We want students to do their very best, and of course, any parent wants excellence for their child. Now, we know that the future will hold many different things for children, but what I think we can probably be sure of is that whatever jobs our students might do in the future, they will no doubt have to work with other people. So collaboration, number 4, is a very important one. All right. And number 2, resilience. Right? Life is not about success instantly or right at the beginning. Life is about sometimes failing and learning from that and growing and building upon that. So we want children to really have those values that will help take them through life so they can ride the successes and plow on through the challenges that life does bring us. All right. Excuse me. Our primary school and our kindergarten share one location in Chung Kwan O, and that was actually our starting point in Hong Kong. But our secondary school is actually on the other side of the harbour, Hong Kong Island in Chai Wan. In actual fact, they're both kind of in the same area of Hong Kong. We are finding up to now that many of our primary students have ended up living in the Chung Kwan O area, and then our secondary students tend to come around from a larger area of Hong Kong. Some schools sometimes have a special catchment area, but students can come to our school from anywhere in Hong Kong. Although sometimes I say to parents, come and live closer to the school. Don't make your child spend too long on a school bus. Let them come to school refreshed and not having had a long journey. All right. Only being 3 years old then, our school, it's a very nice modern purpose-built space, and you can see some of the details on the screen there, mentioning classrooms, libraries, activity rooms, and so forth. It's a very modern feel to the way we have designed it, and our classrooms really are, some of them are incredibly spacious. You could almost say too big, perhaps. All right, nice spaces where people can move around, engage in different types of learning. All right, so children have the opportunities to do different things, learn in different ways in a space they can move around in. All right, the 2 schools are slightly different in size, but at the moment, the secondary feels like it's a little more spacious because it's actually got fewer students, because that is in a later stage of growth. Right? Of course, one of the terrible things is at the moment, our schools are actually empty because the children are at home, but we look forward to the day when they are back on site and having an enjoyable, thriving learning time with their teachers. All right, I'll click on. And that just gives you a little bit more detail of the secondary school. Of course, being a secondary school, delivering scientific curriculum, for example, we start including laboratories, libraries, and when it says study room there, with much older children, you need to provide time for independent study, independent work. Independence is very important. So we have spaces where children can do that. So in other words, it's not lesson time with a teacher, it's student time, personal development time, independent learning time. So we have to give space for that. All right, I will move on. All right, excuse me. Curriculum is perhaps one of the most important things about a school, but not everyone will have the same opinion. But our curriculum, primary school, bilingual. So our children are learning through English and our children are learning through Chinese, Putonghua Chinese Mandarin, right? And from years 1 to 4, and in our kindergarten, they're doing that 50% of the time in each language, right? So it's very much an immersive program to learn all the things that children learn in school through those 2 languages, all right? And part of that is something called the IPC. The IPC is called the International Primary Curriculum. And like our English, it originally comes from a UK curriculum. It has a very long history and is very well trusted around the world, but it has been adapted for where we are. We are in Hong Kong, we are in China, we are in Asia. So we need a curriculum that reflects that helps children understand and learn things that relate to where they are, right? And it's theme-based. So children don't have a geography lesson and a history lesson in the primary school. They do in the secondary school. They have theme lessons where the skills and knowledge are within those subjects. And the last part of our curriculum, at the top there, is our maths program. So our parent organization has come from Singapore, and Singapore is well known for its maths program. And in lots of the international education sort of tests, statistics that get produced by global organizations, they come out very well. So when we were putting together our maths program, we naturally looked to our parent organization for that Singapore program. But for all of these programs, the IPC, the basic of our UK English curriculum, the Singapore maths, we are not making the children fit these curricular areas or these curricular models. We are adapting them and changing them to make them fit the children we have. So it's the other way around, right? We look at the children and what they need and what they like, and we adjust our curriculum to make it work for them. Right? If it works best for them, they will achieve more and they will enjoy more, which is what we aim for. All right. I think I've already said part of this. This is just about language ratios. So as you can see, years 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 50% each. But in year 5 and 6, we do a little more English, up to 70%, and a little less Chinese. The reason for this is quite simple, actually. When the children go on to secondary school, the curriculum in the secondary school is international qualifications such as GCSE and A-level, which are English medium. So we need to prepare the children to have a higher level of English so that they can pass those exams, collect those qualifications successfully. So we take all of the subjects and we try to incorporate those subjects into the 2 languages to maintain that immersive program. And that even includes things like assemblies, where 1 week I will do it in English, 1 week the vice principal will do it in Chinese, and that's part of our PSHE program. So the 2 languages are there all of the time. So the children also respect that both languages are very important and they see them as part of their whole educational, emotional, and social development. Right. It also mentions teacher-student ratios on this slide as well. Our classes are quite a modest size. The average at the moment is about 22, 23, and there's 1 teacher there. Include some of our teaching assistants who provide extra support. Our ratios do drop down quite a bit. I will click on. All right, now, we are not a high-pressured exam-driven school. That is not what we are trying to do. But of course, we must assess the children Because when we assess children, we find out what they can do, what they know, what they're struggling with, how they're doing things, and then we adjust what we teach next, or what we provide for them next. So it's an ongoing process. It's not a test at the end of a term or a year. And we make sure that we feed that information back to students in child-friendly ways to help them develop, give them targets and next steps and things like that. But we also make sure that parents are well informed. Every parent wants to help their child, but what sometimes they want to know is how to help, so they are complementing what the school does and not trying to help in a different way. There are some examples on the slide there. Sometimes it's just teachers watching. Sometimes it's teachers working with groups of children. Sometimes it's having a look in a book as well. Lots of different ways to see how a child is getting on. And every child is different, and every child will possibly show more in some areas and less in others. Some children can demonstrate their learning through talking really easily. Some tend to demonstrate it through action and writing and things like that. So we make sure we assess in all those different ways to get a really good picture of how a child is getting on. All right, just as we're not a high pressure exam driven school, we're also a school that recognizes if children work really hard during the day because they wanted to work hard, because the lessons were interesting and engaging, then maybe they don't need to have a ton of homework in the evening and hours of extra work there. But we do recognize that some things do need a bit of regular extra practice, small amounts, possibly 4 or 5 times a week, right? Character writing in Chinese, perhaps, reading in Chinese, maybe mental maths, number skills for younger students. Those things done regularly is quite important. But what we do is we have a program where we give a suite of activities. That's like a group of activities, usually every 4 to 5 weeks, and we send them all home to the parents. And then we say, you don't need to do this and bring it back tomorrow. You can look at these activities. Many of them are open-ended. You can choose what you want to do or how you want to do it and when you'd like to do it within the coming month. And our curriculum will stand alone without the homework. But if parents choose to engage in the homework, and they can engage in different ways according to how their children learn, it will complement the curriculum that goes on in school as well. And some of the numbers you can see on the screen there are all about averages, right? It doesn't have to be every single day, and we are rarely asking for something more. At the moment, we're doing a lot of Zoom learning and online stuff, so all the children are working at home anyway, so it's a little hard to see the difference between school and home at the moment. But normal times will come again. So we look forward to when we can get back to those. I'm sure everyone will agree. All right then. As any parent knows, children don't just learn in the classroom. There is a whole world out there to take in and learn through. And when we go on trips and things like that, it's not a day out. Well, it is a day out, and I hope it'll be a fun day out. But there is a point to it. There is a reason to it. Our trips and excursions, they are part of our learning program, where you're giving interesting activities, you are exposing children to new environments, pushing their confidence perhaps a little bit, personal growth we talked about earlier, right? And it all feeds into a nice, wide, holistic and balanced program. And as part of that balance, we have an extracurricular. And we think our extracurricular program is all about opportunity, right? Where children have a chance to try out different things. Maybe they will excel at them, maybe they won't, but they'll try them out and they might find they enjoy them. It could become a hobby of the future. It could be something they decide they'd like to learn more about. So we are trying to cover the academic areas, the sporting areas, arts, music, drama, all of those different things. Now, over the past 3 years, of course, COVID restrictions and everything, so this program hasn't really got fully going yet. Some of it is run by our own teachers, who will be, and some of it is run by external providers. We've already got the arrangements ready. It's just a matter of being able to do these things. And we've identified 2 days a week in most cases where this happens after school. It's not a compulsory program. Now, we believe in options and choices, but we're actually quite confident that most children will be interested and want to participate. So it offers part of our nice broad range of opportunities. All right, going up to secondary, in years 7, 8, 9, we follow the Cambridge curriculum. That's a broad range of subjects covering 4 subjects, maths and English, including the humanities like geography and the sciences as well, plus PE, etc. So it's a nice range of subjects that continues the breadth and balance of that curriculum. The Cambridge curriculum, originally from England, as I'm sure many of you know, and it is a good, solid program. Some of it knowledge-based, some of it skills, and it's very clear what the children study and learn in the 3 different year groups. All right, and it gives real direction towards the GCSE, GCSE program that follows afterwards. Right, and at our secondary school at the moment, years 7, 8, 9 is where we've got most students in the early days of our development, including some who've come up from the primary school. So we are already a primary section feeding into secondary section. When our students go into years 10 and 11, they then study IGCSE. So this is well known throughout the world as a prestigious, recognized international qualification. And at this point in our school, students are normally studying about 8 subjects, so they don't have to have the full range. And it's when some students start thinking about whether they might be leaning towards humanities or science, for example. Of course, all students will do the core subjects of maths and English. Right? And it's a 2-year program, excuse me, which is graded by the Cambridge organisation, and it leads to the final step of secondary school, well, any secondary school actually, which is the A-level and the AS program. The A-level program can be a 2-year program, but many schools, and Invictus is one of those schools, choose to also do the AS qualification after 1 year. And many of our students are doing up to 4 AS levels in year 12. But then when they move into year 13, some students might stick with 4 subjects. But some students, if maybe 4 was a little bit of a challenge, they might decide that they will drop one of them, but they've already got an AS level qualification, right? And then proceed with the other 3 for the second year. And that's when you get the A-level qualification, or A2, right? Excuse me. And the range of subjects on offer does partly depend on the students we have in school at the time and what different students want to choose. But there are no specific requirements from the exam board to choose from certain groups of subjects. So we are looking for, and we are hoping students choose things that they excel at and they will do well, achieve the good grades parents hope for their children, but also things that they really enjoy as well. And this is when students are beginning to think about university. So if they've got a desire to study engineering or become a doctor or something like that, they do need to make a choice at AS and A level that will help get them into that degree course of their choice. And we have a particular teacher and a team who provide that support to help children understand what these choices mean, and then to support them finding the right university course across the world, making those applications. Right? And then, of course, they're off, aren't they, parents? They're off to university, that final step. All right, our admissions and how children join our school. I've already mentioned we are a through-trained school where once you're in, you are all the way. So right down at the bottom of the primary school and in the kindergarten as well, it's about age-appropriate assessments in 2 years. Children don't need to be bilingual to come to our primary school. We hope if they join in year 1 and they leave in year 6, then they will be bilingual. But we are looking for age-appropriate ability in one of those languages, and we then develop the other. It's not an admissions test you can prepare for either. It's about social skills, language skills, age-appropriate number skills, and things like that. Once we move into years 3 to 6, we start looking at other areas and assessing children, again, in an age-appropriate way. How much writing they can do, what level their maths is, their speaking and listening, and their reading, all right? Once we move up to the secondary school, years 7 to 13, all right, we use a CAPCL test, which is like a non-verbal reasoning test for some year groups. And to find out about curriculum access, we are doing an English test, which can be through a personal interview, can be through a written form. For children who might be joining us at A level, we also look at the subjects children wish to choose, and we will do an assessment in that subject area, chemistry, for example, or perhaps history. We try to meet for a personal interview, Zoom interview, every student who applies to our school at the moment. We think that's a really important thing to do, to make that personal connection and really find out if we are the right school for that student, and to give the parents the opportunity to find out about us and us the opportunity to find out about the children. Because there are lots of good schools around, but they're all good for slightly different ways and they fit differently. And we are about being the right school for the child who's got the skills and strengths and interests that we share with them. And other schools can be different, and that's okay. Our interviews are on a rolling basis, but as you can imagine, there is a peak in each year, and we're just kind of coming to the end of that normally when we're looking to the next year. Oh, excuse me. We are aiming to be an accessible school, where our school fees are actually really quite reasonable within the sort of the Hong Kong $100,000 a year, kindergarten, primary, and a little bit more at the secondary. We don't have any debentures at the moment either, which I think is. Of course, there are always some extras, aren't there? School trips, uniform textbooks, and so on, but I think that's pretty standard in most schools. All right, and the process starts online via our website, but as I said before, it becomes a lot more personal later on. Right? And we do think of ourselves as a school about personal. We are also offering some scholarships, which can be up to 25 or 50% of school fees. We don't do this in the primary section, though. Our scholarships are only in the secondary school at the current time. They can relate to specific areas such as music, and we also have a quota for certain year groups, GCSE year groups, for example, where children might join us in year 10 and 11, right? And the application process for a scholarship can be when a student applies to join our school, but it could also be from an existing student in our school, you know, long after they join us. So some parents might be interested. All right, and I think this almost wraps it up. Actually, there are 2 QR codes there. We have an admissions team, and when the health situation is a good one, we like to invite parents into our school. Best way to find out about the school is to actually come and have a look around. I hope we'll be able to do that soon. But if not, our website gives lots of information. Our admissions teams are always willing to email with people and talk with people on the phone to tell people more about our school. Right, and I think, yes, we have got to the end there. All right, thank you for listening. Jennifer, thank you for hosting that. Shall I turn off my sharing now?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson, for the wonderful presentation. I learned a lot about Invictus School today. A great presentation. I myself actually took the A levels as well, so totally understand.
Oh, did you? Yes.
Yes, I did. So moving from here, we will go into the Q&A session.
Okay.
And so we'll start with a couple of questions, and then we will have Joy translate the questions and answers into Chinese. So the first question I have, Mr. Jackson, is for Invictus School. As a school that prepares students in bilingual IPC and then for Cambridge International A-level examinations, what is the percentage split of admissions to universities in the UK, US, and Hong Kong? Please, if you have the stats for Invictus School, please do share with us. Do students have more advantage getting into good UK university taking A-levels versus IB offered by other schools? What are your thoughts on this, please?
Okay, it's too early to share any real statistics, Jennifer, because we have our first cohort of year 13s just this year. So nobody has made the jump to university yet, but they have made applications to universities both in Hong Kong and overseas. That's what we are aiming for, students who might think about the US, Canada, the UK, almost anywhere if you like. And I look forward to having some statistics in future years. In terms of advantages for certain countries, excuse me, the A-level program, being a Cambridge program, is something that, you know, all UK universities are very familiar with. Many students in Hong Kong are following IB programs, but of course, everyone who's maybe in a UK school applying to British universities, they are coming through an A-level program. So when universities are sort of comparing students from a school in Britain, a school in Hong Kong, ours are very much they'll be able to look at them in a similar way because they've kind of got a common qualification. And in the same way, a lot of the university programs, you know, the first year of university, is very much based upon the A-level programs that children would have been studying before. So it fits better as a sort of seamless track, if you like. So there is a little advantage there, but it does not mean our students can only go to UK universities. You know, most universities worldwide, they do recognize different qualifications because all universities are looking all over the world for their students.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'd like to invite Joy to summarize and do the translation in Chinese, please.
Thank you.
OK, thank you, Jackson, Jennifer. 那第一个问题是我们英威特作为一间为学生去提供双语IPC 以及 A-level 考试的一个学校，那想知道一下学校目前它的这个全球的一个升学的数据怎么样啊？比如说去英国、美国、香港各自大学的一个学生录取的百分比。那第二个问题的话，就是学生持有 A-level 的一个考试成绩去申请英国的大学的话，是否比拿着 IB 的成绩去申请更有优势？那也想问问校长对于此的一个看法。那刚刚我们校长说了，那目前那个英威特中学的话是成立于2019年底的。所以说学校现在呢13年级的学生还没有毕业还没有到这个升学的这个学年，所以我们呢也是期待等着我们2023年的时候，我们的学生毕业时也要看一看大家的一个升学的一个具体方向，但是学校对此还是非常有信心的，所以也是期待着我们的学校与香港以及其他地方的大学能够建立更多的链接。那刚刚对于 A-level 还有这个 IB 课程哪个更有优势校长举了一个例子，如果要根据自己未来想要去申请的这个学校或者是你的课程去看，比如说未来你要去学兽医学等的话，那么 A-level 课程中它的这个生物学对于你的申请的话就会非常有帮助。好，那这是关于第一个问题的一个简述。好 ，Thank you, Jennifer.
Hi, 谢谢 Joy. Moving on to second question, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
For the Invictus bilingual IPC program, will there be 2 teachers in each class, 1 English and 1 Chinese? Does Invictus teach in simplified Chinese, and what percentage of the primary and secondary curriculum is taught in Chinese? Also, how would you advise non-native parents in terms of supporting Chinese at home?
Okay, thank you. So, in the primary school, there are 2 teachers for each class, but not at the same time, all right? Say from years 1 to 4, it's half the time with 1 teacher leading in English and half the time with another teacher at a different time of the day leading in the other language, right? For our written Chinese, we are using traditional characters reflecting Hong Kong where we are. Now, in most year groups, we've got more than 1 class per year level. So when it comes to the Chinese learning, we are able to do a little bit of streaming. So we have a group of children who Chinese is their first language, and the other group, Chinese is their second language. So we can then adjust the program to help provide the support in the right areas. The second language students, there might be a little more emphasis on speaking and listening, whereas the first language students can engage in writing and reading at a slightly earlier step, if you like. All right. When we have parents who are coming to the program where their children are learning English as a second language, perhaps they're a European family, for example, we say to them that Chinese is a language that does need a little more of that sort of rote practice on a daily basis, a small amount daily basis perhaps. The real key is the immersion aspect. I mentioned our ECAs earlier. Some of those can be English, some of those can be Chinese, and that helps develop that speaking and listening, especially with the non-native speakers. When we go up to secondary, remember, we are no longer a bilingual school. There is more English in years 5 and 6, and then an English program at the secondary school. But children can still learn Chinese as like a language subject and do a GCSE or an A-level if they wish.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Joy would like to invite you to summarize into Chinese translation. Thank you.
OK, thank you thank you Jennifer 第二个问题我们呢想了解一下关于英维特我们的一个双语项目，对于每一个班级是否都会配置2位老师一个英文老师，一个中文老师，以及说我们的教学语言是简体中文呢，还是说是繁体中文？那中小学课程中有多大的比例是用中文授课的？那另外我们也想了解一下校长如何建议对于如果母语不是英文的这个家庭，小孩子去放学以后在家里是否需要去提供更多的一些英文学习环境？那校长给我们的答案是目前学校里面的话专门设置有以中文为母语的一个组别，以及说以中文为附加学习语言的一个课程组别。那同时学校的这个小学课程中1年级到4年级中文的教学占50%英文占50%其他的就是一些我们的课外活动。那在第5年级至6年级，中文占30%，英文占70%这样子一个授课语言的一个分配。那同时老师也告诉我们，对于在中学期间学校是教授的是剑桥的初中课程，以及是 IGC S1 以及 A Level 课程。那学校的这个普通话的老师也是能够去使用这个中文的简体或繁体字去教学的。对于中文水平比较高的当地的学生，我们会将它分为高级的这个汉语班那同时对于一些国外的学生或者是其他的国际学生的话，将会分别分入初级以及中级的一个汉语班。好，那刚刚对于是否需要在家里面也要去安排，就是除了学校是否需要还要更多的一个中文学习，校长告诉我们目前呢大家也是认识到学习语言需要更加传统的一个学习更加高频率或者是死记硬背这样的一个学习环境，所以说也建议学生在日常的课外活动或者是在家里能够更多的使用或定期的去练习，才能够帮助我们的学生去更好的提高他的中文技能这是非常关键的。好，这是关于第二个问题的一个简述。 Thank you Jennifer。
谢谢你 Joy. And Mr. Jackson, the final question we have is with regards to the math program. It's quite interesting that the Invictus math program is supplemented by the Singapore Ministry of Education Mathematics framework. Is math the only Singapore-based subject? How about the science programs like chemistry, physics, and biology? Also, will kids be learning coding, robotics in school, or will there be after-school programs that offer STEAM activities? What are your ECA's activities in terms of sports, arts, music, and clubs at Invictus like?
Okay, the maths program is actually the only one that sort of truly comes from Singapore, if you like. But you know, maths being a core subject, the higher level of achievement that we hope the children gain from the program can then feed through to other subjects, which could include science, include economics and business and things like that, either in the primary or the secondary sections. The ECAs, excuse me, as I said, we like to offer the range of them, and some of that does include more scientific things. coding and robotics were mentioned. Some of those will happen within a regular classroom environment as part of the IPC program. Some of them are part of that optional ECA program after school. And again, it can be in either of the two languages, and they're also complemented by the arts, the dramas, the things like that, to try and give that sort of that wide range of opportunities, sort of breadth and balance in our curriculum, and our ECA program is what we are trying to do. Nice wide opportunities. All right.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. And I'll invite Joy to summarize in Chinese.
Yeah.
Thank you.
OK，thank you。好，那关于这个问题的话，刚刚我们提问的是对于在我们的英威特学校的数学课程的话，是由新加坡教育部的数学进行这个授课支持的。大家想知道一下，数学是由新加坡提供的唯一学科吗？对于化学、生物以及这个物理这样子的学科，它的这个安排是如何的？那第二个问题是我们的学生在学校里面是否有机会去学习编程、计算机等的一些科目，以及说在课外项目中是否也有这个 STEAM 的一些活动安排。那在英威特的这个体育艺术、音乐等这些课外活动安排中还有哪一些好，那刚刚我们的校长给到了我们的回答是对于这个数学这个项目来说的话，它也是已经去贯穿在非常多的这个科目以及科技的以及其他的这个中学科目中的，比如说商科以及技术。那对于目前我们的一些课外活动来说，那目前学校是提供了非常多的这个一系列课外活动的，但是因为疫情的影响，也是有一些是受到限制的。那刚刚举了一个例子一个目前关于课外活动中的话，我们的学校给咱们的学生提供了非常多的一些项目来去平衡他们的学习以及生活，比如编程目前已经在学校的这个课程是提供的。在其他的 STEAM 活动中的话，目前还在陆续安排中。在中学的这个课外活动中，也提供了编程还有跆拳道以及击剑也是开始进行题，已经跟我们学校的这个合作伙伴达成共识，马上就要开始为我们的学生去安排。好，那这是关于第三个问题的一个解答。Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Thank you for an insightful presentation today. We've learned a lot about Invictus School. Excellent presentation. And I also look forward to, as everyone else, that we will pull through this pandemic and that we can have live tours of the schools.
Yes, I look forward to it. Thank you for inviting Invictus, Jennifer. We've enjoyed being part of this.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. And passing back to you, Joy.
OK， 好非常感谢我们以上3位校长以及我们 Jennifer 的个精彩分享了。那接下来就到我们今天分享会的最后一个环节。刚刚大家通过校长们的分享，已经了解到了咱们3间国际学校的一些升学以及院校的一些更多资讯了。关于未来真的想要去来到香港去进行一个学习的话，可能我们的朋友们会遇到一些签证方面问题。那今天我们也邀请到了来自全球隐匿移民的公司代表是我们的这个创始人以及总裁许莹女士来到我们现场，给大家带来移民以及签证相关方面的一些资讯。好，那我这边邀请我们的许莹女士到达现场之前的话，给大家先简单的做一个她的介绍。今天我们的这个讲者他也是有非常非常丰富的一个关于移民以及签证方面的一些经验的同时他有获得我们大湾区的一个杰出青年女企业家，同时还有杰出女性卓越贡献奖及商业杰出女性等等。那关于这些我们讲者的更多问题的话，大家可以期待一下，有请我们许莹女士给大家带来关于移民的分享。好，接下来的时间交给你。
Okay, so thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Joy. 听到我声音是吧？
OK， 没问题。
好的。首先呢， 好的，首先非常感谢主办方的邀请啊。其实我相信各位家长呢，通过刚才的3间的学校以及校长啊，和大家真的很详尽的去讲到香港入学以及各个学校的这样的收生的这个要求以及理念，我觉得今天的讲座真的是非常的丰富。那接下来呢，我们就可以讲一下，那如果大家是对于你的宝宝或者你的这个小孩进来香港是有兴趣的话，到底他们是可以透过什么样的方式可以入读香港的学校呢？其实今天的香港居民。那好，在开始之前也很简单的介绍，我们公司，我是许莹 Eleanor， 也是呢，这个全球引力移民香港有限公司的创始人及总裁。那我们公司呢的口号是移民不移居领航者，您的快速移民专家。那其实今年呢也是我们成立的第10周年，在这10年的这个时间之中呢，我们也是在全球不同的地方设立了办事处，包括是北美的 St. Kitts， 那在澳洲也有呢，在欧洲的土耳其以及呢在 Cyprus， 那在内地呢，我们在南京也是有同事去处理不同的这个业务。那我们的10年之前呢，其实也是一个海外的国家叫 Dominica 驻港的商务代表处，那其实我们在这10个年头呢，也是跟很多不同的国家呢，无论是移民局长啊，或者是领导啊，土地局啊，投资局啊，也有呢和很多的大使馆呢，都是一个很紧密以及一手的这样去沟通。那这个呢，是我们在这几个月的一些的新闻还有报道，包括我们在香港的这个无线电视台 TVB 以及 ViuTV Now TV 这一块呢，也是做了不同的关于移民的分享，还有呢不同的这个就是一些报纸的这样的一个专访。那我们去年年中呢，也参加了第1届的国际的移民展览，作为现场的60到80个移民的这个公司之中呢，我们也被主办方选上了作为4大的移民公司，也是欧洲区加勒比海区最大的一个移民展览，也代表了这个社会以及呢这个移民行业对我们的一些的肯定吧。那这块呢，就是有一些很少的这个照片和大家分享一下，因为我们10年前是已经是快速移民的这个领航者嘛。那这块呢，就是Dominica 的这个总理啊，我们一直是和他是一个非常友好的关系。这个是 Dominica 的移民局长 St. Kitts 的总理以及移民局长，这个 St. Lucia 的前移民局长，他是我们现在在 St. Lucia 的顾问。那这位是现任的这个St. Lucia 的移民局长，也是5位。就是5个加勒比海的这个移民局的一个总的这个主席。这个呢是南太平洋地区一个瓦鲁阿族啊，这个是他们的总理啊、前总理啊，还有这个国会的议员啊，所以这些国家其实我们都一直来说呢，都是和他们是一直的国家啊，塞浦路斯、马耳他这些都是他们的移民局长，我们都是一个很直接的一个关系。土耳其呢，就是我们在2年前疫情之前呢，我们就在土耳其那边设立了办事处。那其实这边呢，就讲到我们全球呢，其实是有很多不同的永居啊、入籍以及签证的项目，但是我们今天呢，要把我们所有的集中的精力呢，透过其他的方式，让我们的小孩能够进入来香港去就读一些的学校啊。那肯定呢，大家在听的时候会有一个疑问，到底我用中国的居民的身份是否能够移民过来香港，或者我是否能够让我的小孩来香港读国际学校？这个答案呢，我们是可以在香港的这个入境处这边呢，可以找到一个答案。其实这边也是显示给大家，如果你是用一个中国的居民的身份的话呢，中国国籍、中国的居民身份是不能直接这样就读香港的学校的哦。 我们看一下这个入境处，其实呢，只有2个大的一个方式呢，你是可以在香港就读的。第一个方式，你是直接成为香港的一个居民；第二个方式呢，就可以呢作为一个外籍的这样的一个身份，然后来香港就读这个国际学校。那这边呢可以看到啊，就算你是有一个外籍学校，但是也是有一定小小的限制的。阿富汗的、古巴的、老挝的、朝鲜、尼泊尔、越南的这些呢就是不允许的。其他有别于这6个国家的这个国民呢，都是可以用一个外籍学生，然后在香港就读国际的学校。然后整个途径呢也是非常的简单你只要选择了心仪的这个学校然后通过我们主办方可以介绍很多不同的学校给大家选择，然后之后呢就得到了学校的一个入学的一个通知书，再加上在香港呢有一个本地的这样的一个监护人，然后你就是可以在入境处这边申请学生签证了。整个流程其实就几个月的时间，很快的。但是假如现在大家并没有一个外国的国籍，就是说你不是一个英美澳加这样的一个身份的话呢，那可能就大家会想到很久的、很漫长的，但是这个也是很容易去理解因为讲一个例子如果你譬如说移民去英国要拿到英国的国籍，其实你是需要花费6年的时间。如果你要去移民美国的话呢，中国内地的居民要移民美国呢，基本上是透过 EB5 的这样的途径。EB5的这个投资金额首先是很高，要90万的美元。那另外呢，你要排期10年，就代表你10年才能够进入到美国，在美国要再待个5年，你才能够拿到这个国籍，所以这个时间太漫长了。那今天呢，就为大家去分享一下，除了我们传统的这些大国要花个5年10年、15年这样时间，还有没有其他的一些的快速的这样的身份，可以让你的小孩有这样的一个机会来香港就读这个国际学校呢？那我们来看一下这一页的这个 PPT， 我们一共在全球有10个国家是可以让大家合法合规，然后一步到位就能够拿到这样的一个入籍国民的这个外籍的这样身份，而且呢，没有语言要求，时间也很快，也不用在当地去做移民监不用在当地去这样去待那我们看到呢，首先左边的这样的一个6个国家，就是英联邦的这个快速移民的国家。那当中瓦努阿图是最快的。假如你的宝宝其实年龄已经有了，然后就想说他赶快拿到一个身份，然后去帮他去安排，那你就可以呢。去拿一个瓦努阿图，最快2个月就可以拿到身份了如果你并不是说这么的着急，那就可以看一下 Saint Kitts 跟 Dominica 这2个国家，或者是 Saint Lucia、Grenada，还有 Antigua， 这些都是可以考虑的。这些国家呢，都是属于英联邦，然后有很长的一个国家的这个移民的这个法案。那这些的英联邦国家呢，其实大概呢就6到9个月左右，你就可以拿到了国籍，也受到了很多内地企业家的欢迎。因为除了一些的国家可以让你很快拿到国籍之外呢，其实还有很多不同的好处。就说内地的企业家可以做一些税务的安排，因为这些的国家都是全球免税的。然后呢，这些国家呢也是有很多这个多的这个 passport 有很多的这个免签国，这些的欧盟的国家、申根国的国家呢是有3个月。那如果进入到亚洲很多不同地区，譬如说香港地区，它有3个月，也方便大家过来看一下你们的这个宝宝在香港读书的这个情况。然后譬如说去新加坡菲律宾马来西亚这些呢，都是有1个月。去韩国更加有3个月的时间，所以免签国是很多的。税务安排熟知的周黑鸭的老板俏江南的老板， 他都会用这些的拿这些国家的身份的原因就在这边了。那另外呢，如果各位家长说，哎，其实我也并不考虑这么快，也不叫这么快去这样去进行，那我宁愿我的这个身份要比较好，同时以后可以考虑香港的这个移民，或者让这个小孩作为一个国际生来香港读书，同时的话。其实我也开放，我的小孩有更加多的可能性看一下这个欧盟的快速移民，因为这些的这个马耳他或者保加利亚，你们这一家人可以用一个快速的方式可以拿到欧盟的一个国籍。那一旦你成为欧洲的一个欧盟的国籍的一个公民之后呢？你的整家人就可以拿到了整个欧盟27个国家的一些的福利，包括医疗的福利呀，就读的福利呀，教育呀，等等的这个好处。所以呢，如果长远为自己的家庭这个退休也好，或者为自己的小孩又想来香港，或者有可能去欧洲，那这个也是一个很好的这个方式啊。那这个费用方面呢，其实可以给大家一个参考啊。如果说是英联邦，基本上大约100万人民币以下的这样费用就可以拿到这样的一个身份。如果说是欧盟的话呢，起码呢是要用300万左右的港币啊，就可以这个拿到了身份，然后下一步再进行不同的计划，譬如说来香港读国际学校，或者去欧洲不同的地方读国际学校。那这个呢是以一个国际生的一个身份这样去进行一个考虑，也可以说是一个跳板的这个身份。但是有很多的家长说，诶，其实我并不考虑这个国际生，我就想一家人过来香港去去生活，我也想过来生活，然后我的小孩我的宝宝就可以用一个香港的居民身份去就读香港的学校，那这个也是有这样的一个可能性的。那呢，香港就有一个4大的签证类别，我们叫做香港的这个移民的方式。其实香港移民呢是在全球来说呢，也是一个比较方便，或者说我们是一个很简单的一个方式，条件也是很好的。因为如果你一个人申请的话，一个主持人申请，其实全家就可以达到一个移民的条件了。因为我一般申请，无论你是透过什么的方式，都是会给到香港的一个居留卡居民卡。那这个居留卡不光是一个主申请人可以拿到，其实他可以把自己的配偶以及呢18岁以下的收养人、小孩都可以带过来香港的。那在这个居留的期间，这个7年的期间，你是拿到一个居民卡。这个期间之中呢，你是可以让自己的小孩呢，也是得到12年的这个免费教育，也代表什么呢？就可以让自己的小孩在香港的时候呢，不光是国际学校，而且呢可以就读本地的学校啊。直资的学校，你的选择性就会比较多，而且可以拿到这个12年的免费教育。那7年之后，你就可以拿到永居，也可以申请入籍，拿到这个 passport。以往的话呢，有很多的这个内地的企业家呢会选择投资移民，因为大家觉得用钱就可以搞定嘛，这个比较简单。但是很可惜呢，在2015年的1月15号呢，这是香港政府呢就暂停了这样的一个计划。所以大家呢就不可以光是投资的这样的方法就可以移民过来香港，现在是没有了。那现在香港呢是比较希望呢是用一个人才的引入，或者希望呢吸纳全球不同的人才过来香港。所以今天我就为大家呢去介绍4种的签证的类别，或者4大的这个方式，包括是优才移民、专才移民、读书移民跟企业家移民。那首先我们来讲一下这个企业家移民。其实企业家移民是针对呢外籍人士的，所以说如果你是内地的居民的话呢，其实就并不符合这个企业家的移民的这个身份的这个基础条件。但是如果你说，哎，你已经有一个外国的护照了，外籍的身份了，或者你是刚 就像我刚才说，透过这个 St. Kitts 或者是这个保加利亚这个拿到了一个外籍的身份，那你又是有一些企业的这个背景、经营的背景，那你就在香港可以开展一个生意，请一下当地人，那持续的经营就可以透过企业家移民过来香港。那如果你现在目前的情况还是一个内地人身份，那你就可以透过优才、专才或者读书移民这3大的途径。好，我们先讲一个优才移民。优才移民其实全称呢就是优秀人才引进的一个计划。其实简单来说呢，它是一个门槛是最高的一个计划，是港府呢很希望就是通过这样的一个计划，去吸纳全球不同的这样的一个优秀人才。那这个优秀人才的计划，其实每年都会有不同的这个人数的配额的。那从去年开始呢，就增加到了4000的名额，但是港府呢通常都不会用到4000，就不会每年都会批4000个。那以去年来说，就大概批的话呢，就批到了2000个名额都不到的这样的一个选项啊，所以其实真的是要看每个家庭的具体的情况，而不是说我给到4000个就会有4000个名额哈。那优秀的人才呢，其实分为2大的这样的途径，可以呢，用这样的一个优秀人才去拿到的工作签证。那第一个就是成就去计分，第二呢就是综合去计分。成就计分呢，其实还是蛮难的，就是要求呢，我们的申请人是需要有一个在社会上或者国际上有一个很高的这样的一个地位，或者说呢，你可能在世界上呢拿到一些奖项，譬如说刚才我们最近冬奥啊或者奥运啊，你拿到一些的奖项啊，又或者呢你在社会上呢得到一些很高的荣誉，像以前汤唯呀，或者是这个郎啊，就是透过优秀人才移民过来香港，而且透过成就计分的。那好，另外一个比较适合我们普通大众的就是综合计分。综合计分的总分呢是225分，80分作为合格。但是呢，我们呢这个评分的计划呢，就是透过年纪啊，譬如说你39岁以下，你的评分呢就会比较高，然后也透过学位的这个分数、工作的这个经历，会一个综合性的去评分，那总分225分。那其实大家也是可以向我们的同事呢拿一个计分表格，也可以让他们来帮大家来去算一下你的分数，去判断一下你是否可以透过这个优才计划来迎来香港。因为如果你的这个综合的这个评分比较高的话，其实这个优才移民是门槛呢虽然是最高，但是它的花费是最少的啊。那但是我们来看一下优才移民，其实它的总体的批复率都是比较低的。2019年其实只有15%个这个申请人是拿到了最终的这个工作签证。2021年虽然有提高，但是也是不超过40%，只有37.7%。那好了，我们来看一下，就是说以学位最简单来说，以学位怎么样去判断？因为港府其实没有明确的告诉大家，如果你是怎么样符合，你才能够拿到这个工作签证。所以其实每一年都是用一个新的标准，我们去尝试这样去申请。那譬如说以这个学位我们来判断啊。32%的话，就2020年来说，有1687名呢是符合条件，去透过综合评分去拿到这样的一个移民的资格。但是当中32%都是有双硕士或者博士的这样的一个位置，57%呢是硕士跟双学士的。所以就是说，如果现场的家长只有大学学位，那可能这样的一个综合评分优才的这个门槛对你来说就比较高一点点了哈。那我们可以看一下有其他的什么的方式。第二个方式是专才移民，专才移民呢是吸纳内地人才，我们也说呢是内地优秀人才的一个人才的这样的一个计划，它也是工作签证的一部分哦。其实它整个概念是什么呢？就是香港缺乏有很多的一些专业的人才，所以它这个专业的 专才的移民的整个核心的思想，就是说你的工作经验以及呢。你要找到一个本来的条件比较好的这样的雇主来担保你，所以工作的配对就是整个专才的核心。那对于申请者来说，最好你就是有大学的学历的。如果你说你的工作背景是很好的，或者你的担保雇主是很好，你的配对非常的理想，那大专也行。那同时呢，最好呢提醒大家有一个5年的这个社保，银行的这个看到你的工作每个月会给到你一个薪水，有一个流水，这样的一个申请是比较好的啊。那另外呢，就是说，如果你这2项你都会觉得其实条件门槛还是比较高的，又或者你是全职妈妈或者全职爸爸的话，你可以怎么样去选择呢？那你可以透过呢这样读书移民。读书移民来说呢，是现在目前呢最简单的一个方式，因为只要家长其中一个人过来读书，香港，在香港读书，用一个硕士1年配偶和小孩呢带过来香港了。那它综合来说呢，可以来说是结合了这个专才以及优才移民的一个好处。因为呢，你读完1年之后弹性是比较大，你在香港接下来工作6年呢，你并不需要像专才一样在一个很固定的这样的一个雇主去就业，你可以呢自己创业，你也可以呢去找一个雇主去工作，同时你也可以呢在这个自雇的一个方式，都是可以的，所以这个弹性就比较大一点。那我们以往呢有很多的企业家，或者呢有很多的家庭主妇啊，这样去透过这样的一个读书移民，在自身的条件你可以增值，让自己呢有一个硕士的这样的身份。那同时呢，也让自己整个家庭呢都可以过来香港，去进行就学，或者在香港去进行读书，在香港呢去进行这样的一个工作，所以呢，这个弹性就比较大。那很多人关心就是说，我自身条件能不能去进行一个读书移民？好，那读书移民呢，其实大家呢起码是需要有一个大专以上的这个学历，最好的话呢是大学啊。那英语的话呢，其实如果你有英语的话是最好的，没有英语也不用担心，我们也为很多的家长是处理过这样的一个情况，你是可以读，譬如说文学啊，或者是创意文学啊。创意写作啊，环保硕士啊，这些都是可以的。那香港的读书呢是比较简单的，因为它呢只需要读2个学期，每个学期大概3、4个月左右的时间。那每一周你大概需要花2到3天，每天几个小时，所以其实这样的一个时间呢也是 OK 的，可以让小孩在香港去读书的时间，那你就可以去大学里边上课。那这个时间呢也是比较宽松，也是弹性比较大。所以其实1年透过读书移民来香港的话，是很多的这样的一个例子的啊。那我们这块呢就没有用很多的时间去跟大家再去讲，因为今天的时间呢也是有限的啊。但是呢，我可以最后呢跟大家去进行一个很简单的总结。如果说大家只是希望自己的小孩用一个国际生的身份在香港就读国际学校，你可以用自己本来的这样的一个外籍身份。或者呢是透过快速的移民，譬如说加勒比海的 Saint Kitts 又或者一些欧盟的这个快速移民，保加利亚、葡萄牙这种的方式也是可以。那如果你说我希望全家移民过来香港，就可以透过3大的一个途径。如果你条件很高的，你自身的履历是很高的，你就申请优才移民，这个是费用最低的。如果你说，其实我在香港已经有一个雇主来担保了，那你就可以申请一个专才移民。如果你说你本来是一个全职爸爸或者妈妈，你也希望把自己的履历再升一个层次，同时呢， 也用一个相对来说性价比比较高的一个方式，来到香港的话，你就可以透过读书移民。那今天呢，短短的20分钟就为大家介绍呢几大的方式来到了香港。那也希望在之后的时间呢，可以跟大家再讲多一些香港移民或者不同移民的一个方式。也感谢大家的时间，我现在把这个时间交回这个主办方，给到 Joy 和 Jennifer。
好，非常感谢我们喜莹女士的一个精彩分享。那通过这个分享的话，相信大家对于如何来香港去入读我们的国际学校，应该心里非常清楚了。好，那今天时间已经到5点37分，再次感谢我们全球引力移民的我们的代表进行的一个精彩分享。那在最后呢，也是想为我们今天的大家们啊，感谢我们所有的嘉宾来到我们线上去聆听我们本次的一个国际学校升学资讯讲座，对我们3间分别来自威亚国际学校以及宣道会刘平寨纪念国际学校，还有我们的英威特香港学校3间学校的校长表示感谢。那如果说大家对于我们的国际学校想要去进一步咨询的朋友，欢迎大家可以联系启言教育香港办公室以及我们启言伊比斯深圳办公室。那屏幕上是我们的这微信的二维码，大家也可以去稍后可以扫码截图啊，扫一扫联系。好，那现在的话就不耽误大家的时间了，再次感谢所有人的参与，我们再见。好，拜拜。
拜拜。
好，拜拜。
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, the team also. Okay. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you, everyone. 拜拜。好，大家现在可以陆续离开会议室了。希望好，祝大家都有一个愉快的周末，拜拜。